My favorite style of pizza is New York style pizza, but I wouldn't be able to make it. So it'd be interesting to learn a new style of pizza. You know, I respect guys that know how to make multiple styles of pizza. I think that's awesome. But for me, I just wanted to hone in on one specific style and try to make it as special as I could.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. Robert Molesky opened Millie's in 2020 as a way to show Chicago pizza fans that there was more going on in the city than deep dish. Now, of course, any true Chicago local knows all this, but nonetheless, when I first tasted Robert's pie at its Uptown location, I was blown away by his understated excellence. On this episode, Robert shares his story and discusses how the legendary pies of Bert Katz, as well as the cooking of his grandmother, inspired what many consider the city's top pie. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Robert Molesky, welcome to This Is Taste. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm happy to be in Chicago. We're recording this in a studio in Chicago. I landed yesterday, Clayton and I. We went right to Millie's Pizza in a Pan, and we had the most amazing pizza. Let's just go over from the jump. The Craigslist.org pizza. What is it?
Yeah, it's one of our best sellers. It's got Greco-Italian sausage on there. There's peppadew peppers, ricotta, fresh spinach, mushrooms. It's really, really good. It's a nice combination of savory and sweet and a coolness with the ricotta. It's really nice.
It was extremely cool. And the peppadew pepper is rarely used on pizza.
Yeah.
And really the perfect balance of heat, acidity, sweetness. And I have to say, so Millie's Pizza in a Pan, where you've operated since 2020, you know, made the #1 slot for Chicago Magazine's pizzas in Chicago.
Yeah, that still blows me away from Chicago Magazine. They do that issue once every 5 years. So it's a total honor that they put us at #1.
Well, we're going to get into your story a bit. And really, I came to Millie's with Steve Dolinsky, took me there, you know, great journalist and writer in Chicago and on TV guy. And he's a real pizza hound. He's the hungry hound, but he's the pizza hound.
Yeah, definitely.
But he brought me there during James Beard weekend and was like, you got to try Millie's. You got to meet Robert. And I was like, okay, cool. Like pizza. I mean, we've talked about Chicago pizza all day, but your pizza's special. And I feel like since 2020, when you launched it, you were able to create this style that's distinctly yours. Explain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how I got started was I first went to Bert Katz's place. This was after he passed away. Up to then, I really had no knowledge of pizza. I had been basically having tavern style and Lou Malnati's. That's basically the only two pizzas that I really was aware of. So when I went to Bert's and I tried that pizza, it blew me away. I'd never tried a pan-style pizza with the caramelized crust. So I decided in that moment that I wanted to figure out how to make that pizza. So I spent about a year, you know, honing the recipe and everything at home.
So you mentioned Bert's, which is this legendary mythic place way out in the suburbs.
Yeah,
you know,
Morton Grove.
Morton Grove, right? Bourdain, you know, famously went there, many others. Before you ended up at Bert's and thinking about pizza, what was your culinary background? What were you up to?
Yeah, well, I went to culinary school in 2000. I graduated in 2004. I went to Kendall College.
Yeah.
So I always had a passion for cooking, even as like a toddler. I always remember watching cooking shows instead of cartoons and, you know, also drawing up menus for my brothers and sisters. They could order one of 3 options and getting up on the stove and cooking. I would set up a stool in front of the stove, stand on it, make them simple dishes. But I've always just had a passion for cooking. So, yeah, I went to culinary school. I felt like the kitchen wasn't really for me, so I was more in the front of the house. So I was waiting tables for 16 years practically before I started doing Millie's.
I had no idea. Where were you working in Chicago?
I mean, there were multiple. It was mostly out in the suburbs. I lived in the suburbs for a majority of my life. Yeah. So, yeah, places like Wildfire, Seasons 52, they're like higher end chain restaurants.
You like strike me as chef guy,
and
not like server
exactly.
guy. You're like the meticulous chef guy, but you were like working tables. But maybe that was your service style.
Yeah, and it was, but you know, the kitchen was kind of, I don't know, and I guess it was intimidating to me.
But it ends, the intimidation ends in 2020 when having been at Bert's and loved the pizza there, you decided to create a pop-up right in 2020. That was the start of your pizza
Yeah, I was working out of a ghost kitchen, but it was, I was working out 5 days a week. So it was more like, did that for a year and a half, 5 days a week. And at Envision Kitchen in Logan Square.
Okay, so it was more of a ghost kitchen than a pop-up.
Yeah, it was definitely a ghost kitchen.
So let's hear a little bit about that. When you go to Bert's, you're experiencing this pan pizza for the first time.
Yeah, it was like the gates open and heaven.
The heavens rained.
Yeah.
Because truly, Bert's is not, Lou Malnati's is not Pequod's. That's a very different pizza. You've worked the dough and you have this like caramelization and this crust that's super unique. Explain, let's go just to Bert's. Like, I'd like to get into that. Like, what is the Bert's pizza that really made you think, wow, this is my future?
I mean, I had like a Supreme style pizza when I was there. And then as I started looking into it, I really knew nothing about the man. I knew nothing about that style of pizza. So kind of went down the rabbit hole with looking on the internet, pizza making forum, looking at YouTube videos, watching like videos that he had been in, and starting to read about it, that he made a limited amount of pizzas, that he worked there with his wife. He had a small operation. And I really respected that. And he made every pizza himself. And, the process, the way that he lived his life, so I decided that that's kind of what I wanted to do, make a limited amount. And so I started doing research and looking at YouTube videos and just going down the rabbit hole and trying to figure out the dough processes.
So let me get into that. We talk a lot about flavor development through dough and and we'll get to obviously Tavern versus NY versus Pan versus Deep, but we'll get there. But let's talk about that. You bring up a point. How do you get flavor development in your dough?
Yeah, I use a starter called Poolish. Mm-hmm. I honestly wish that I could do more with but I'm kind of limited in the space that I have. A way to really cold ferment the dough, and you need a lot of space in order to make dough age for several days. So I'm kind of limited. So I do a starter called Poolish, and I mix that in the morning and I let it sit out for a few hours, and then I do put it in the fridge for a full day. Most of the time you're supposed to let it sit out for about 12 to 16 hours, but I let mine go about 24 hours. So that allows you to add flavor to the dough.
Mm-hmm. So you're looking like a day ferment, and then you put it in.
Yeah, well, I add the Poolish to the dough, and then I, let it bulk rise for about 7 hours, and then I'll ball it up, and then I'll put it in the fridge, and I'll let it cold ferment for another day.
And then let's take us to the next step. As you pull the ball, and you're ready to go for your you're doing 60 pizzas a day.
Yeah, we're doing 60 a day. So, I pull the dough out of the dough tin. We use individual dough tins, and then I put it into the pan, and then I'll usually let it sit out and rise for about 3 to 4 hours before we start service. And obviously, as service progresses, the dough's rising more as more time passes.
So you put all 60 balls out?
All 60 of them, and we stack them up,
Stack them up.
Exactly.
We'll get to the toppings, the way you ideate, the way your sauce too is particularly bright in a cool way.
Yeah.
But let me ask you about the 60 number. Now, this is purely a capacity issue. This isn't like you being a cool guy and saying you got to have a secret number. And I mean, like literally, I went yesterday. You were kind enough to pull a pie aside for us, but like I had 3 people come in and were like, "You're sold out." And
exactly.
Your front of house staff, really great guy, was like I'm sorry, you got to come Tuesday, you got to come Wednesday. Yeah. But why 60?
I mean, that's kind of where we're maxed out with our, the fridge. That's how many dough tins with.
It's a fridge.
A lot of space is taken up by the ingredients. You got to think about the cheese. You got to think about the toppings. You got to store all that in the fridge. So we have a really small space there. So we're kind of maxed out, and 60 is probably the max that we can do there. So
okay, that makes sense.
That's why the number. I mean, when I first started in the ghost kitchen, I was doing like 10 to 15 a day. So I've slowly ramped it up, and about 60 is the limit.
60 is the limit. So let's get to the final product. Like you pull it out of the oven, you're a diner, you're lucky enough to have one of these 60 pies. You're cutting into it. what's happening? What are we getting there? Because it's definitely not Pequods, and I keep bringing up that name because it just is a reference point to many for this, not deep dish, but like in the pan style, because you're not doing deep dish.
I think Pequods has a thicker dough that's a little more dense.
Yes, it is.
And I think they use a lot more dough than what we use.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can't speak to their process because I really don't know much about it at Pequods, but I think it's more dense. There's more dough in the pan, and we allow ours to rise for much longer. I think they're trying to produce a lot of pizzas, so they got to pump them out.
Yeah.
So, you get a little bit, I think the dough's lighter and airier. It looks heavy, but it eats pretty light.
Well, I mean, Robert, I gotta say, and controversial take, but your pie feels more like Detroit style.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
Me.
Yeah.
What do you think about?
I don't think it's as thick of a dough as Detroit. It's kind of like in between, I guess, is the best way. I would say 3/4 of what a Detroit would be.
It's like, but I just went to Michigan and Trumbull. That spot in Detroit. I don't know if you've been to Detroit and had pizzas.
I've never been there.
You've never been to Detroit?
Never been to Detroit.
I feel like I'm like, if I could bring you and the Michigan Trumbull guys together, Chicago meets Detroit, that would be like a real life goal. But it is lighter than maybe you're thinking, and I feel like they're both amazing pies. Yeah. What's happening with the crust? There's a crisp, there's a frico, you could say. What's going on with your crust?
Yeah, it's caramelized cheese. I know at Bert's, it was never like, I read somewhere that he never did it intentionally, that it was more of an accident. So when I started developing the recipe, I wanted to make sure, I feel like that's the best part. So I wanted to make sure that was intentional. So on my part.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just got like this saltiness to it, a nice crisp to it. It looks burned, but it tastes amazing. It doesn't taste burned at all.
No, Millie's Pizza in a Pan pizza is never burned. I've had it a few times and it's never burned. It feels like it's made like you obviously know your levels. Let's get through some of the pies you're offering right now, this spring into the summer. I loved the lineup, but give me a couple of the pies that's on the menu.
Well, we have a new one that's called Only Pans. I mean, we're not reinventing. we're not inventing anything, right? And we take the classics and put a little tweak on them. So the Only Pans does have the pepperdew peppers, pepperoni. There's also pesto on there. Yeah. We use Calabrian chili honey.
It's all in one pie?
Yeah.
I'm loving that.
Yeah, it's really, really good. The Untitled's one of our best sellers. That has pickled jalapenos. Again, the pepperoni, ricotta, queso arte, which I kind of put that on there as a joke. It's pineapple. Then there's French toast bacon, French toast bacon. Then there's also Glory tomatoes on there and mozzarella.
So Glory tomatoes there, not the Pepperdew peppers.
Yeah,
that's your acidic burst. And French toast bacon, I'm deducing it's like a little bit of like a mapley bacon.
Yeah. And then we have the Craigslist, which you had. A lot of our pizzas have, that salty sweet and richness in the ricotta.
No, and I'm going to step back to something you said. I'm going to go back to something you said and just say this. You are inventing shit. I mean, you like, you're humble. This is what invention is. Like those fine tweaks, those little subtle adjustments in pizza, that's pure invention. And to me, that's why Millie's is such a cool experience, is that you're thinking of it in a culinary sense. The 16 years of your restaurant world is kind of showing itself. I mean, are you inspired by other sources when you're thinking about your pizzas? Because clearly you got a lot of creativity here.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been interested in cooking and, the culinary world. Even the way I cut the vegetables is slightly different than most people do. I put thought into it and cut things on a bias, things like that. But yeah, there's a lot of people that inspire me, especially in the pizza community. I mean, just half a block from here is one of my mentors, Jonathan Goldsmith from Spacca Napoli. Yep. He's been so inspiring me. We don't make the same style of pizza, but I mean, just his guidance has been amazing. There's so many people, Paulie G's, Derek Tung, a lot of Tony Troiano from JB Alberto's. Just a lot of people have helped me along the way. Tony Gemignani out in San Francisco.
Totally.
We've talked on the phone. I went out there. He's come to my shop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just the pizza community. Everyone is so willing to help each other.
You ever meet Anthony Falco?
No, I haven't. But
I hope Anthony can come out to visit.
Yeah, I mean, he inspires me too, and I know we follow each other on Instagram, and he likes some of my posts. I always get super excited.
Yeah, no,
it's like, holy cow, Anthony Falco liked one of my posts.
No, I think Anthony would enjoy your work and understand and enjoy your creativity and your craft. All right, let's do the thing. Okay, we're here in Chicago. And there's a lot of pizza styles here. I think a lot of people, and I don't want to be reductive. You're this far in the interview. We don't need to go over too much of the basics. But truly, to me, taking Millie's out of the equation, I'm a tavern guy, personally. That's where I go. And I'm from West Michigan, so I've got some great tavern style there. But tell me, when you're thinking about Chicago's pizza scene, you just mentioned, you have Neapolitan style you mentioned. But let's talk about tavern a little bit. What does tavern mean to you? And do you have any favorite tavern style spots?
Definitely. I mean, taverns, everything. That's what I grew up on. That's really all I knew about pizza, to be honest. Me and my dad would always go to Barnaby's. It's out in the suburbs. It's one of the most legendary tavern style pizza places. And we go there after baseball games and, special occasions. That's where we always went to celebrate. That's my dad's favorite pizza, or was his favorite pizza. So that's kind of all I knew, and I love Barnaby's. I love Pat's.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Pat's.
Yeah. Crust Fund Pizza. Not a lot of people know about this.
Wait, Crust Fund?
Crust Fund Pizza.
Explain it. New to me.
Yeah, his name's John Carruthers. He makes he does like a pop-up once every month, and he sells them out of his alley. But he's like, they're incredible, the process that he uses and everything to make them. So, yeah, I really like that one, and
I'm gonna have to explore Crust Fund. I like that. I'm definitely gonna reach out. Let me ask you, sausage jardiniere to me defines in some way Chicago style tavern. That combination is rare outside of Chicago. Just you can't find it even in West Michigan.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
No one really thinks of that.
Yeah, I think jardiniere is a Chicago thing.
Such a Chicago thing. Explain why that works on a culinary sense.
I don't know. It's got some heat in there, and then along with the sausage, I don't know. It's just a really good combination with the smoothness of the cheese.
Yeah,
the
brick cheese, and then the jardiniere is just like the pickled peppers,
exactly,
and other things thrown in there with that acidity.
Yeah, I mean, pickled vegetables I think it's good on pizza.
Well, clearly, I mean, you've got these Papadou peppers, and I think that's a real moment in Chicago pizza lore is when someone decided to put something acidic and pickly on top of this very rich pizza.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of people doing the Papadous. I know I'm not the first to do it, but in Chicago, I'm not really sure who was one of the first to do it.
Another point of media that you got, Portnoy showed up, Dave Portnoy, and I watched the vid yesterday, and man, really nice review. What was that like having, Dave Portnoy, pizza influencer extraordinaire, really important to the scene, come to your shop?
Yeah, that was an intimidating day. That day I was training a new employee to make pizzas. So I had no idea it was coming. He doesn't order it under his name. He ordered it under his cameraman's name. So I had no idea. I just thought an Austin ordered, and I was doing something in the kitchen, and then I looked up at the counter, and then I saw Dave Portnoy there, and I'm like, oh boy, and it was incredible to see him there, and then, handed him the pizza, and he said a lot of nice things about us.
Yeah.
And obviously the review had some entertainment value to it as well. So,
yeah, I'll link to the review in the show notes. There's a cameo in there that in the comments it says it feels pure Chicago.
Yeah, exactly.
In Uptown, and your vibe in your neighborhood is a cool neighborhood. A lot of locals, a lot of folks coming in.
A lot of interesting people on Argyle where our shop's at.
Yep.
So, I really wanted to get into the eights, but it didn't happen for us. But he said a lot of nice things about our pizza. So
he rolls up, he eats the pie. Are you there when he's recording it?
Yeah, I wanted to stay inside. I didn't want to be the guy that was outside, standing there watching him review the pizza.
Nah.
But it was kind of, I had to white knuckle it for about 2 to 3 weeks because that's how long it took for the review to come out. So I had no idea what the score was because he left right away after.
Yeah, he just bounced. Let me ask you, did it change business at all?
Oh, it's huge, yeah. And what was crazy, that week, Portnoy came, and then that same exact week, that Chicago Magazine article came out where we got #1. So it was insane. Just the phone was nonstop ringing off the hook. We had to turn so many people away.
How does it make you feel when you turn people
Yeah,
back?
I mean, it's a little frustrating, but I also think that it makes things special, I think those people will come back, and they'll want to get the pizza. So
do people get angry when they come in and you're sold out?
Only a few people get upset, especially when they come in at 4:00 and we're sold out already, because a lot of people pre-order and they're like, "How are you sold out at 4:00?" It's like, oh, people pre-order it, man.
Yeah, but there's ways to diffuse it and make it feel like you're not trying to be like, restrict the supply to increase demand. I always thought Hot Doug did that with his place. He could have increased capacity, but that's just my read of that guy.
Yeah, he went to Kendall College.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect. That guy's amazing.
Oh, yeah, incredible.
He created that line, and it created like a little bit
it creates a buzz, and that's what you kind of want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested in getting to location 2, and you opened up in the suburbs recently, and when you go from 1 to 2, that's a huge leap.
Yeah, I was terrified.
You were terrified.
Oh, yeah, terrified. Yeah, I mean, up to that point, I was the only one who made every single pizza that's ever come out of Millie's Pizza in the Pan. So for me to let go of the reins and allow someone else to do it, I mean, I spent close to 4 months training the guy.
What's his name? Give him
Danny.
Yeah, Danny was great.
Yeah,
I got to meet Danny, and last night he was working because you were out of your other location.
Yeah. So I mean, I wanted to slowly introduce him to all the processes, So it was like one thing at a time, and it took about 4 months to train him, and he's doing a really good job.
He is. He's doing an excellent job. I hope Danny realizes how lucky he is to get this like mentorship.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully we can grow as a company, and he sticks around, and we can, build something together.
Talk about location 2. Where is it at, and how's it going? Expanding out to the suburbs, and like, are you still restricting the amount of pizza that you're doing a day?
Yeah, definitely. Right now, we only have one oven, and at that oven, the top, we use a double stack convection oven.
Yeah.
So the top motor blew out on the very first night, so we're only limited to half an oven. So the oven can't cook as hot as we want. So the pizzas take a lot longer.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So we're really limited as to what we can do. I chose Berwyn, Illinois, because first of all, I love the place used to be called Gina's Italian Ice. It's like, looks like it should be a pizzeria. It's got that old school feel. So she was there for 50 years, and I saw the place that was for sale, couldn't afford it. And then I saw it was up for rent, so I jumped on it.
Amazing. So they were originally selling it, then they're renting it.
Yeah, I think they were having a difficult time selling it for the price they wanted, so they put it up for rent, and I called her that day and met with her the following week, and we pretty much put things in motion.
How quickly were you able to build it out?
It took about 4 months.
Yeah.
We failed our final inspection the first time. There was a lot of things they wanted us to repair, which, is frustrating. But, it took us a couple weeks to get that fixed, and we got up and running.
So when you look at a new space and you open it, you're looking at also having a small capacity because you want to make it craft.
Yeah. This one's a little bit bigger. I mean, it's only pickup and delivery, but the kitchen's bigger.
Yeah.
So we do have more room to grow. I didn't have the funds right away to get all the equipment that I want. Right. But as time passes, I think we'll be able to do more pizzas out of this one.
Let me ask you, so are people getting delivery out there?
Yeah. We use DoorDash.
Yeah.
We have a third party through DoorDash.
And pickup. So it's out. What's that neighborhood like?
It's cool. I mean, we're on this corridor. It's on Roosevelt, so we're by Fitzgerald, which is a legendary music venue.
Yeah.
There's a brewery across the street.
Yeah.
There's a cool music venue 2 doors down with, they have live music all the time. So it's a cool little area.
Yeah. So let me ask you, like, where does the brand go? I mean, you've got 2 locations. I mean, your Uptown location on Argyle, I mean, is going to be popping for a while. I mean, and you can dine in there, and I love the aesthetic. It's got a great, clean, cool vibe.
Yeah, and the Berwyn one, I wanted it to have a totally different aesthetic. Yeah. It's got a way more old school feel because the building's a lot older. So, but where we're going to go from here, I don't know if I'm going to open another Millie's. I maybe would like to try to figure out how to make a different style of pizza.
Oh.
And maybe open another pizzeria that isn't a Millie's,
Robert, let's theoretically, of course.
Well, I mean, I did for a while. I made bar style pizza. Not a lot of people know about that, but it is a really thin crust style of pizza. You cook in a pan, But think about it like a tavern pizza, but it has that caramelized cheese edge, which I think adds kind of. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
I mean, out in Jersey, we're near where I live, we're known for our bar pizzas.
Yeah.
Tavern and bar are very close to me. But the difference is the thickness.
Exactly.
Okay, so Robert, you open up a new style. That's like a different part of your brain.
I love pizza. So, I mean, my favorite style of pizza is New York style pizza, but I wouldn't be able to make it if you asked me. I don't know how, you know.
Well,
yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to learn a new style of pizza. You know, I respect guys that know how to make multiple styles of pizza. I think that's awesome. But for me, I just wanted to hone in on one specific style and try to make it as special as I could.
I love it. Do you have any New York favorites?
Industry is by far.
You said that like before I even can end.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best pizza I've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah. DeFaro was good.
Yeah.
Best pizza. I really enjoyed that. I got to meet Frank Pinello when I was there.
No, those are great choices.
And I mean, that would be my ultimate dream is to open a pizza place in New York. We'll see further down the road. I want to try to compete against the best. I think New York is the best pizza city in America. I know that I'm from Chicago, but
Chicago's great too. I'll just say there's nothing like Millie's within the 3 states.
Yeah.
You know,
I wonder, I've always wondered how would my pizza do there, you know?
I mean, we've got plenty of Detroit style and like you're very close, but I don't think you're the same. And I think you have a creativity. I'm just like gassing you up, my man, because I just want your pizza. I come to Chicago once or twice a year, so I need your pizza.
I appreciate it.
I hope to have you in New York sometime. Maybe a pop-up. How about that?
For sure, yeah.
Robert, on This Is Taste, we ask guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a little rapid-fire, fast and furious taste check. Are you ready?
For sure.
The best fruit?
To me, a banana.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you doing bananas every morning? Are you doing it with peanut butter? What's your
peanut butter, ice cream's amazing. I love bananas.
The worst vegetable?
Lima beans.
You know what? I haven't thought about lima beans in like about 15 years.
My mom used to make me sit there and I couldn't leave the kitchen table until I finished all the lima beans. And I literally would sit there for 2 or 3 hours because I refused to eat them.
This feels slightly traumatic.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
I think it scarred me.
The best dessert?
Ice cream for me. I eat ice cream almost every day.
Okay, so we'll go local Chicago favorite.
It's Scooters.
Scooters.
Yeah, it's more custard, but I love Scooters.
Scooters is great. I love Scooters. What flavor?
I like chocolate.
Yeah. Favorite American fast food chain?
This one got me.
Yeah.
I mean, can I say Red Hot Ranch? Is that a chain? I know they have quite a few locations.
I don't know Red Hot Ranch, but let's roll with it.
They have smash burgers. They're incredible.
Your favorite cookbook of all time?
The French Laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of came out when I was in culinary school, and I remember trying to replicate quite a few of the dishes in
the cornet.
Yeah, very inspiring to me. I still look at it all the time.
Oh man, it's a beautiful book. The salmon cornet with creme fraiche.
Yeah,
that's the guy right there. Yeah. Do you have a favorite recent cookbook discovery? Something you picked up at the store, maybe?
The Modernist Cuisine, that pizza series that they did. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a book so detailed about pizza.
You read it?
I mean, I haven't read it all. It's like I have the 3-part series.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's huge.
A cuisine you would like to learn more about?
Probably Thai food.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
You like the flavors.
Yeah, I like the flavors.
Your favorite city for pizza outside Chicago and outside New York?
Well, I had really good pizza in Rome.
Yeah?
When I was there, yeah.
I heard they do.
I went to the original Banchi. That was really, really, really good.
You've got one here, too.
Yeah. I think it's the only other one outside of Rome.
It is.
Yeah.
Have you been?
Yeah, I've been there multiple times.
Yeah, I went. I remember I was here last summer and I went. I thought it was really good. I was really into it. Yeah.
I mean, he's a pizza legend.
Yeah. So. It's cool that Chicago has a Banchi.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. But for whatever reason, it's not on the list here. I don't know if Chicago is not accepting it.
It was on the list. I don't know. I mean, I think it closed for a minute and then they recently reopened.
What's the one in the neighborhood you mentioned? Because I want to shut
Bacca Napoli.
Ah.
I don't know if you know it. Do you know?
No, I don't.
Yeah, Jonathan Goldsmith. He's the owner.
Yeah,
and he's considered one of the best in the world. He makes the top 50 list all the time. I think this year it was number 19 in the world. So yeah, his knowledge is beyond to me.
So he does a Neapolitan style.
Yeah, but I mean, he goes to Italy and teaches people how to make Neapolitan pizzas. That's how.
All right.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Interesting. You're giving me some thoughts for maybe
Definitely.
a lunch or
you
dinner.
can literally walk over there and it's
Monday can be a dark day for restaurants. We're recording this on a Monday.
True. Yeah.
I have to go. I'm gonna go check my Google and see what's open.
Meatball sub.
Yeah.
That's what I get wherever I go. I love meatball subs.
Would you ever add more items to your menu? Because you're literally just doing pizza and cool drinks.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just think it's really awesome just to focus on one thing and serve only one thing, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm that talented enough to offer others.
I think you are.
But maybe a sandwich in the future.
Yeah.
Who knows?
How about maybe a meatball sub?
Oh, that'd be a good idea.
Let's roll with that. Robert, such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining this.
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Liza, we're back with Three Things. How are you doing? Good to see you.
I'm good. I just had a nectarine, so how could I not be great?
All right, we got to talk about stone fruit. Stone fruit in the summer of 24, it's working.
It's been a good year.
It has been. The last couple years have been not good. And I think when I say not good, like it's about the size of the peaches have been smaller and they've been mealy. Now, granted, each farm has their own issues with like rain and rot. But this year, for whatever reason, amazing. Was it a good nectarine then?
Yeah, I mean, all of the stone fruit I've had this year has been quite good, and I just devoured it, so it was great. But it's not one of my three things.
It's not one of your three things. That's an aside. What is your first thing?
My first thing is that I went to Dog Day afternoon for the first time. Have you been to this hot dog stand?
No, I love the name, though. It's so great.
Great name. It's a Chicago-style hot dog stand, kind of in like South Slope, Windsor Terrace, where the two meet. I was going to the Nighthawk at Prospect Park to see Trap by M. Night Shyamalan.
Heard the ending was not good.
We could talk about it later.
Off mic,
not
sorry.
one of my three
not
things.
Not a film podcast.
But the hot dogs were fantastic, and the two guys that work there are super cool, and like their passion is making Chicago-style hot dogs. And I got a Polish dog, which was poppy seed bun, caramelized onions, hot peppers, the kind of like brat where sausage is split down the middle, and all of those toppings get kind of piled into it.
Oh, right on.
They give you Vienna beef hats to wear, which I did wear to the movies, and I loved it.
I love that there's like a real Chicago-style dog in Brooklyn. And do they have the neon relish going on too?
They have very bright relish. They do not have ketchup. I even talked to them about Super Dog a little bit when I was there, which is the drive-thru we went to in Chicago. And one of the two guys is not from Chicago, and his buddy is bringing him back to Chicago. And he said that was where he was going to take him. So
let me ask you this. Is there more to the spot than just the hot dogs? Are they doing like craft beer? Are they doing malts?
They do milkshakes. One of my friends got a milkshake. It was good. They give you small bags of chips for free with your order, but it is kind of a hot dog establishment, and I like that.
Speaking of Chicago dogs, the DNC is in Chicago this week, and they are serving 3-inch hot dogs in honor of our former President Trump. Just to say that, leave that with no comment.
Oh, my
God. Beautiful place to Wiener Circle. Great
What's
work.
your first thing?
My first thing is a novel. So we've been talking off mic a little bit about I'm back in fiction mode.
We'd love to have you in it.
I appreciate it. Clayton, our producer, is such a fiction head. He's reading a book every time I see him. You as well, Eliza. You are really on top of fiction. You have a real pleasure, a real love of it. And, you know, I have fallen off because I've been writing books. Not to say that people who write books can't read books, but I just didn't have it in my brain. I was reading a lot of nonfiction. But I'm back. This year, I'm going to try to read 10. I know that's not 52, but it's not 1. I'm going to try to read 10 books.
Any number is a goal.
Anyways, that's not about numbers. It's about the book. And the book is called Real Americans by Rachel Khong. Rachel Khong is an incredible writer. And Rachel was our first contributing editor here at Taste when we launched in 2017. She's formerly an editor at Lucky Peach. But recently, she has been a novelist. And Goodbye Vitamin was a great novel, her debut. This new book, Real Americans, pick it up. Amazing. And I don't want to be spoiler zone, but I want to say some things about the book. It's her second novel. It's a story of generational trauma. There's some magical realism. I'm like saying generational ... because I don't want to spoil it, but it's a mother, son, and grandmother at the center of it. There's a section in the book that takes place during, the Cultural Revolution in China. That is a beautiful section. And big tech and biotech kind of play a role as well. And there's a lot of satirical elements there. So there's a lot of really big topics at play with Rachel's novel. And I couldn't put it down. Such a good novel.
I've been really wanting to read it, so I love that you're enjoying it, and I'll have to borrow your copy when you're done.
I will lend you my copy, Eliza. What is your second thing?
My second thing is that I have all summer been wanting to try this brown sugar boba at Sin Fu Tong in the East Village, and I finally went to have it this past weekend, and it was so good. It's like a cup of milk tea soft serve, thick, creamy milk tea soft serve with brown sugar boba at the base of the cup. And so as you're eating it, you can kind of be scooping down and taking some of the brown sugar syrup and putting it back on top. I think all of their boba is really delicious and plump and chewy, and they make it right there when you see them. So really all of the drinks are quite good. I got my normal like oolong iced boba drink, but the boba milk soft serve is incredible and I highly recommend.
Say the name again.
Sin Fu Tong.
Sin Fu Tong.
Yeah.
Now, I love you're a true boba head when you're talking about the quality of the actual boba. I think there's many fans of boba who don't think about the quality because there's such a range of quality. Liza, to you, what makes great boba?
I mean, I just want it to be chewy. I want it to have texture that holds its shape but be soft. I feel like sometimes you get boba that's a little bit hard, and that's when it's less satisfying.
Great.
In the winter, when I'm drinking hot drinks with boba, then, it's nice because the boba almost like melts in a little bit. And with the ice cream, it was just like a really nice textural contrast. And I think I'm going to have to go many times before it gets cold here.
I mean, you can have boba when it's February too.
Yeah, but I don't think they do the soft serve. I do get boba in February. I'll get honestly, an Earl Grey latte with pearls in it, incredible, like anything like that. But I think the soft serve is a summer special. So I would go while it's still warm out.
Catch it up. New Yorkers, catch it. Okay.
Yes. What's your next thing?
Well, I was just in Los Angeles doing a book event. Shout out to Suzanne Goen and got to meet her and spend a day with her. Incredible person. I can't wait for her to have her on the show. But in between our event, we went to a little restaurant called Langer's. Heard of it?
Yes. Love Langer's.
I'm so glad we can talk about this because for years, I've been going to LA for a while and I love the Los Angeles food scene. I always try to be as adventurous as possible, have 4 or 5 meals. But I always skipped Langer's because, listen, I'm a Katz guy. Love Katz pastrami. It's like really my favorite. But my buddy Dookie Hong was like, let's go to Langer's. We'd actually tried to go to Republique, but the line was 45. And I was like, not going to double park for 45. Love Republique, but man, a lot of people go to Republique.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
popular
place. Anyways, Langer's, we end up in Echo Park. So a little context, Langer's has been open for 77 years.
Old school Jewish delicatessen.
Got the patina on there like they've been running it since the 60s or the 50s, doing quick math. And honestly, I had 2 sandwiches that was like the perfect 1-2. We went halvesies on both. I had the number 44, which is hot pastrami sauerkraut with nippy cheese grilled on rye. Have you had that?
I'm like a Reuben girl when I go, which that is very Reuben adjacent.
We'll get to your order. I want to hear. I have questions for you. And the other side of the 2 halvesies was a straight not chilled, cold or not hot pastrami and Swiss cheese with coleslaw and dressing, Russian dressing. So the 44 and the 19 half and half. Pickles were total trash, but we're not even going to talk about that. It was like straight from the Vlasic jar. Not having that. But I love this place. Really, really good pastrami. $28 a sandwich. Pretty much $1 away from, I think Katz's is $29. So they're like kind of in the same price point. Expensive sandwich.
Yeah, but they both have like so much meat on it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would love a world where you could get a half-size sandwich at a deli because I don't really want that much meat on my sandwich to begin with, and I don't want to be paying close to $30 for a sandwich, but I respect what they do.
I believe they sell half sandwiches at Langer's. Someone told me that because like I had that same comment. Like it'd be great to go halves.
I want a half sandwich with 2 extra slices of bread then, because really it's like the ratio in that half sandwich that is what gives me trouble. But that's good to know.
Take me to your order then, and tell me a little bit about your experiences. You grew up in Los Angeles, so this is a place
I haven't been in a while.
Yeah.
I feel like pastrami or tuna melt on rye Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
Maybe like arugula or black and white cookie when you're leaving. My family is like a Junior's Delicatessen family also.
Where's that? I don't know.
Cantor's. These are like more like West Side spots,
I know
I would
Cantor's,
say.
which I did not like personally, just saying, sorry. But Junior's, I don't know.
It's on the West Side. It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's just like the family deli we would go to. But I love that you went to Langer's. I think it's an LA institution, and it's good to know that the line is less long than Republique also.
Yeah, I love Margie Mansky. Like, no shots at Republique. I just was like bummed I couldn't have it. In LA, is there a restaurant that maybe I have not been to that is like an iconic place that you feel like I must go to that maybe I've been overlooking because I'm trying to go to new spots?
Ooh.
Putting you on the spot here, Eliza.
That's a really good point. Have you been to Gelagetza before?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Gelagetza is amazing. This is not like how many restaurants has Matt been to? This is not that game. Try not.
No, I'm just trying to think about an institution that you have not been to that's worth
Just from
going
insider
to.
knowledge.
Institution
is
Have you been to Clifton's cafeteria downtown?
Tell me.
Not even that the food is that good, but this was like an old school cafeteria in like the 40s maybe.
Yeah.
And now it's a bar and they have all sorts of different bars within it. They have like very bizarre decor and design. And it's just kind of fun, I think, when you're downtown to go to some of the longtime spots down there because there's a lot of like newer development and things. And this is kind of a combination of an old school place that has new ownership, but it's kind of fun to go to.
Really great pick. That's called Clifton's. It's downtown.
Clifton's Cafeteria. I'll think about this question more.
I love the answer. It's really, really, really helpful because I want to go to classics now. What is your final one?
My final one is, I just have to tell you about an incredible experience that's been happening in my kitchen over the past week, which is out of a carton of eggs, 9 of the 12 have been cracked so far. 8 of those 9 have had double yolks.
8 of 9.
Yes, 8 of 9 have had double yolks, Matt. And they're not from the green market. They're a brand called Contented Hen that sells like cage-free eggs at Mr. Coco, which is like my local bodega. And every morning it is like the best day of my life because I race into the kitchen and stand by while my girlfriend is cracking the eggs and see at almost every time it's a double yolk.
This is amazing. Now, I wonder if any geneticist or scientist or food scientist wants to write in if it's like all laid from the same chicken. Does that mean something?
So obviously I've been Googling. It seems that younger hens are more likely to have a double yolk.
Got it.
I don't think it's possible that the whole carton would be just from one hen, just thinking about the scale.
Yeah.
But I don't know how really chicken farming works at that kind of scale. So if anyone knows, please write in. But I think that it's probably a group of hens that hatched around the same time that are all going through like chicken puberty in the moment where they're making more double yolks. It's interesting because some of the eggs, like we can tell, are going to have a double yolk because they feel a little bit heavier or there's a little bit of like a bump on the outside. One of them I thought maybe had a chicken fetus, so we cracked that one separately, but it was just a double yolk.
Yeah.
And I have 2 more eggs left and I'm waiting to see if they're also going to be double yolks. But we also bought a fresh carton from the same store, from the same brand, and we're interested in seeing if
you're waiting to open that one once you're completed this carton.
Well, it's crazy. I called my mom yesterday after we cracked the eggs just out of sheer panic because it was like, what do I do in this situation? Call my mom. And she told us that we should hard boil some to see what they look like inside. So maybe that'll be my next adventure.
I love that idea of hard boiling so you can crack it through the center and see what's going on in there.
And think about if you think it's exciting to be cracking the egg and seeing if it's double, imagining peeling the hard boiled and cutting it in half and seeing if it's double.
A double hard boiled. I don't think I've ever seen that in my life.
Well, I have some photos from the internet, but I'll wait and I'll show you if it happens for me.
Can you imagine a world where double yolks actually became the norm?
Well, I kind of think it, like, in my world, it is the norm now.
It is the norm now.
It's crazy.
So when you're actually using these eggs, let's get into a little home cooking. Let's do that segment. What are you doing with your eggs, Eliza?
Well, this is where I hate to say it, is that I don't eat eggs really for breakfast. I don't like eating eggs. So they have all been going into my girlfriend's tomato egg dishes or her scrambles, and they're extra delicious because there's extra yolk in it. So a huge win for my house.
Huge win. I can't wait to hear about the second carton.
I will keep you posted. What's your last one?
My last one, Eliza, and this is a little bit different, and I'm going to link to it in the show notes. It's a lecture given by Daisy Alioto from DIRT at the Friends with Benefits conference. It was done this spring, but it just hit YouTube last week. And it's called The Taste Economy. So I had to mention it given the name of our show, but that's not really the point. I think the point is that Daisy is brilliant and a cultural observer, and you all should be reading DIRT. just a fantastic publication, giving real shine to emerging writers and established writers. But really, the talk had a lot of different themes. It's talking about how we are shifting away from an influencer economy into more of a taste economy, where high trust gives high rewards. And this is not a media podcast, but I just felt like I wanted to talk about it briefly. That I feel she really taps into a lot of the way that you and I think about media, perhaps with Cakescene, you could speak about it yourself, but also what we do at Taste, where scale is not really what we do. We're not publishing SEO content. We're not trying to throw 100 stories a week against the wall to see who clicks, but we're trying to really show taste, pun intended, or what, we can't avoid the name, but we really try to show that we have a real point of view. And these are just broad themes. She's talking about how success in the algorithm is not real success in the long run. The algorithm is at fault. So I'm like really paraphrasing broadly what she's saying. Daisy is much smarter than me at this topic, but I just thought that if you're interested in like the future of media, or just want to hear a really like a blue flame thinker talk about new media, click that link. It's like 30 minutes. It's super worth it.
Yeah, I love Daisy and Dirt, so I'll be sure to check it out.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing your 3 things, Eliza.
You too.
This is Taste is hosted by Eliza Abarbanel and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is produced by Shalia Harris and Pat Stango and edited by Clayton Gumbert. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter for updates on all cool things that are happening.